Okay, so I haven't done a little stream for a while, and there's been quite a few updates. So I just wanted to sort of roll those out and give you a little bit of a brief overview. Okay, so let's jump in to Node Noggin. So obviously, if you want to play with this, just visit alpha.nodenoggin, which is node nog with 2g's.in, and you can go in and start doing your own thing. So this is currently version 0.1.15, and of course you can follow the full change log there on the GitLabs, and that also includes all of the code. So if you want to have a look at how this is made, then feel free. So I'm just going to talk about some of the changes that have been made in probably the last few versions. Let's just go and check that so I can give you an idea. I think we probably haven't done, yeah, and perhaps the last video might have been 0.10 maybe. Where you can actually type in URLs, which is quite fun. But we'll come back to that. So I'll talk through some of these changes just so you can see them. So I'm going to go home. So at the moment this works really well on desktop. There is some issues with this current version on mobile. So I don't encourage you to look at it on mobile for now because you might get a bit stuck. But it works great on desktop. So we've introduced obviously the new home view, which has the new spatial arrangement, which we can obviously move around with the move icon here, and we can also pick things up with the select icon here, and of course we can resize them. So when you first arrive, you'll get presented with this onboarding screen, which sort of steps you through the process of starting your own microcosm, and of course these aren't currently connected with wires. This would be this connection mode here. That should be coming in the next version, that new connection mode opportunity. So for now, the nodes sit independent, and then there's a bit of an exclamation here. So it talks you through this process. One of the first things we need to do when we visit, obviously, is we need to give our device a particular name. So like it says here, this is what connects our device to your ideas. So that name allows you to create and edit nodes, and it can be anything you like, and it's always anonymous. So this information that you provide here is not shown or stored anywhere or visible for anyone else. And there's a real key reason for that. One of the things that we found in all the testing is when you're working in a group of designers or students who are fleshing out a problem in this space, being anonymous gives them the freedom to feel that they can contribute in ways that they would have felt restricted had a name or device been visible. So often you see a lot of collaboration tools where they show your login or your icon or a little bubble of you. In this instance, no one knows to begin with, unless you identify yourself, who's contributing what. And this does have an amazing leveling in terms of the contributions, and I've seen that in the student testing where students feel much freer to contribute, even in small groups when they could possibly work out who was contributing because you're in the same physical design studio. So I'm just going to give this device a name for today. So I'm going to call it June, let's just call it June 2020. And then I click store. Now that's been stored. There's no real indication currently that that has happened, but it has happened. And then it's now saying after you've stored your device name, you can press N on the keyboard or tap this icon here to create a new node. It says, look, you created your own. So I'm going to press N on the keyboard. You'll see it's appeared here. So at the moment, that's its sort of default location. I can move it around, and obviously I can edit into this node. This is all being saved in the background automatically, and it's being synchronized in real time to any other users that are here at this point. Obviously, currently, there isn't anyone else. I can also flick this into a read mode so that it's just readable, and that is actually persistent. Now, if I was to return to this page, I would see this node in this state of being, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that in a minute when I enter some options as we move into our own microcosm. So it says don't forget to delete the node, because obviously it will get this onboarding space quite messy, so I'm just going to do that. And now the last step here is creating your own microcosm. So this is a space where you can store your ideas and also ask other people to join you to work on your ideas together in real time. And the principle for this really is that you would gather not only a physical space, probably, but also in this digital space together, so that you can work together anonymously to solve or to think about a design problem, or to do some design tinkering around a concept that you're interested in, and so that that material is shared in a space that you all have access to. Now, I won't go into too much of the details of the technology behind this, but there is a lot of things that relate to it being local storage first, offline first, those kind of things. So I'm just going to give this microcosm a name now. So I'm going to call this June 2020 as well, just because I can. They don't have to be the same, but it just means I can remember exactly what microcosm I created. So I hit create. This will then take me into that microcosm, so you can see I'm now on a blank canvas. So I can press the N key on the keyboard and start quickly creating nodes. Anyone else who's on here, again, at this time, would see these nodes updating in real time. There we go. So I can just use basic markdown in here. I can obviously attach like images using at the moment a URL from another website, like the storage location, Unsplash, Flickr, wherever you'd like currently. The next thing, and I'll show you that in a minute, is to build in IPFS support for files. If I hit read mode, you can see now that I'm in the read mode. And if I create, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I can actually connect between microcosms, so you can actually sort of scaffold up a world of thinking. So I'm going to create, first I'm going to create a link back to, well, let's create a new microcosm actually. So I'm going to do that with my URL. So I'm going to call this June 2021. And I just create this as a link. If I can remember my markdown syntax, which I can't. That. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new microcosm just by using a link. This is a feature that's brought in a few versions before. So I'm going to do alpha node login, then it's /microcosm. And then it's / the name of the microcosm that you want to create or to connect to an existing one. So I'm going to call this June 2021. Okay, and I'm going to turn that to read mode. So you see now this is obviously a hyperlink, and this will take me to this microcosm. This microcosm doesn't exist. Now my device is already set up, so it means any microcosms I join, that device is persistent. So if I click on here, it will take me to a brand new microcosm, and you can see on the URL, this is a new space. If I actually create a new node here, what I can do is I can create a link back to that microcosm. I think I've got this as a keyboard shortcut, but I'm just typing it in. / microcosm and then /. So we want to go to the one that we previously created, which was June 2020. So I'm going to hit read. So you can see if I click that now, it takes me back to this one. So look, if I click this on edit mode, I can jump to the 2021 microcosm. I can go back, and I'm in a mode. All these modes are persistent. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the background, join from another browser, just so you can see that working in real time. I'm just going to confirm that it's doing that. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. So just visiting from another device, and I'm going to give that a name. And it was June 2020. So I've typed in the same, and when I hit create, it actually joins this microcosm currently, so I can see these options. So I can, as a secondary user, I can react, obviously, to existing nodes. I can move existing nodes around. So this is being manipulated from the other browser. I can also create my own notes, which you can see are only in read mode. And shows straight in Markdown. And now if I jump back to Firefox, what you can see here now is obviously this is the node that was created from the other person. And again, we can start to arrange these, collapse, cluster them in areas of interest. We can start to make quick reactions to whether we think those things are useful. So yeah, I mean, that is kind of where we're at the moment. Obviously you can add images, you can add links, you can add HTML, you can add all kinds of stuff. Now, the other bits I'm going to show you are just really in infant stages, and actually these aren't going to be implemented in this way. But let me just explain some of the buttons at the bottom. Like I've said, we've got the select tool, which lets us select things. We've obviously got the move tool, lets us move in and out, and we can also use scroll or pinch to zoom. And there's also the magnifying glass at the bottom right here that will give us back to 100%. Obviously, when we're in move mode, we can't pick up or select any of our nodes. We've got a connections mode that's coming. We're going to have a scribble mode for annotations. Again, connections, annotations, the manipulation of nodes are all going to be shared in real time. And then obviously we're going to have an upload using IPFS, which we'll talk about in a second. And then this last button here is to exit the microcosm. So if you want to come out, it just clears local storage. Obviously at this point though, once you've got your device set up, you can just use the URL bar to create new microcosms at any point. So you can just type them in. Or you can create a series of them linking here, which is what I've done in another microcosm of mine. I've got a list of things I can move in and out and jump around. So if I show you that, so this microcosm here is one that I've created before, and it's got a list of microcosms so that I can sort of jump in and out of different ideas that I'm thinking about. Now, this is obviously one way to use node noggin, but there are obviously lots of other ways, and the predominant way is to use it together in real time in a shared environment where you're thrashing out an idea together. So it's to to replace and augment the desk that would be in the studio, but with a shared collaborative real-time environment that has all the data stored in everyone's devices. At the moment, again, obviously this is running through a single sort of cloud storage place, but that doesn't need to be the case. So the other options we've got, if I just jump to, this is a dummy version of the welcome screen that I was playing around with. Just to show you a couple of things to test, we've got a list view, which just lists out the things that are connected in my microcosm. So you can see here what my device is in one microcosm. So that is just a view that only I can see from this device. And you can see that it is, if I want to change where the microcosm we're looking at, I would just type that number, or sorry, name into here. Okay. The other option we've got here is this IPFS test section. Now at the moment, you can't upload any files, and this would just be for testing, just to do a gallery to see. Of course, those files would actually be things that you could just drop into your nodes here as the markdown required. And again, a way that that might work is yet to be sort of tested out, but there's a couple of options. But for now, what this is doing is creating what's called an IPFS node. So this is the interplanetary file system, which is basically a local peer-to-peer file system storage location, and we're using JS-IPFS to implement this. So this creates a node, and then you can add files to that node, which will then be distributed on a peer-to-peer network. So they are, again, hashed and secure and all that kind of stuff. So it also means that all the files are stored locally. So they're in a local location. I need to do a bit more work on how IPFS works in this regard. It's been quite tricky because there isn't too much data on how to use it within Vue application. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of where we're at as of like sort of, well, June now, 2021, ridiculous, 2020. Yeah, feel free to visit alpha.node, log in, and go through some of the onboarding and see if you can create your own microcosms. And we're going to do some more videos, obviously, on the way that you can use this with students and within sort of design tinkering and design thinking environments.